Welcome to Tales from the Fandom, a podcast that brings a special guest out of the multiverse and straight to you. And now your host, David Ginsburg.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of Tales from the Fandom. We are back. It is the year 2019, and I am joined by one of my favorite podcast hosts and numerous guests on this podcast, Justin Zenger of the Zeng This Podcast. How are you doing today, Justin?
Oh, man, it's a great start to the new year to be on your show, sir.
It is absolutely my pleasure. I'm back in the swing of things. We went kind of radio silent in the mid and late December as we wrapped things up here at the house. It was a bit crazy. Personally, we had 18 people here for Christmas, and then I think it was 13 people here for the New Year's, not New Year's Eve, but like the day before New Year's Eve, kind of. We had like a big Sunday dinner and
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, New Year's Eve, because New Year's Eve we were like, we're not going out, we're staying in, we're doing nothing. All we did was play board games all day.
That is definitely great to hear. Any good board games?
We cracked open, let's see here, the kids really liked Enchanted Forest, which is a game of memory, which I am not good at, where you go around and you look underneath trees that have different objects hidden underneath them, and then you have to make it to a castle and say where the tree was. And it is difficult, and my daughter killed it. We also played Ticket to Ride Original and Ticket to Ride Europe. Those we love those a lot. And then I've heard that Betrayal at House on the Hill, I think that's the name of the game, is one that my kids can play, and I'll be ordering that real soon.
Awesome. Ellie is a big fan of board games and stuff, so I was seeing if there's any we might have had a little bit of crossover with. But
we definitely love the board games and card games here. It's something that we always buy at least one every year for like birthdays or Christmas. And this year they got Ticket to Ride Europe, which adds in a little bit more difficulty versus the original America version. And I think they also got King of New York, but we didn't get to open that this time. So we'll open it next time.
Cool. Very cool.
Now, I'm having you on the show not only as the first returning guest and first guest of the 2019, but we're going to talk about things that you got into in 2018 and then things that you're looking forward to in 2019, which there's a ton of stuff.
Yes, there is. There most definitely is in both categories. But yeah, I'm excited for some stuff, and I'm excited to talk about stuff I'm excited about and was excited about and kind of still am. So,
well, what do you want to talk about first as far as 2018? What did the year 2018 bring to you that you got into, or that you carry over into your heart as of now?
Well, as a longtime nerd, as a longtime person who loves fantasy and loves all that stuff, and has I don't want to say a collection of dice. I want to say a hoard of dice from playing Magic and stuff, which I'll touch back on Magic at some other point probably. I never have played D&D. Never. It was always something I'm like, it's cool, but I feel like it's too much for me to get into. 2018 was the year I decided to get into D&D, and I love it. I've done the Minds of Fandover campaign as my, I started that out, was kind of shown how to play it. Then I did homebrew, someone creating their own story, and now I'm back to playing Minds of Fandover with another group of friends as we're introducing them to it, and it's me and one of my other friends who played it originally.
Okay.
And that original one, he's DMing. I'm sort of kind of there as the silent individual who's helping. I'm there, but since I know stuff, I'm trying to let them figure it out and not like do anything to interfere with it, even though we've taken a completely different path than we did on the original one. And I actually bought the starter kit because Ellie's been very interested, so maybe I'll DM a campaign with her. And like I said, it's so much fun because even though I've only played it twice, I'm very new to it. Everyone's like, oh, it plays differently every time. So I'm very excited to do that.
What was that push that finally got you into wanting to take that step to try Dungeons and Dragons out?
Well, I mean, the local store I go to for Magic and stuff, 8-Bit Oasis, or sorry, it's Gamer Oasis now. I forgot they changed their name recently. Gamer Oasis, they have a ton of D&D stuff. They had this table set up for 40K, or you could use it, of course, for putting your little figures on and stuff. And they also had like a big table for different stuff, but mostly it was for D&D. One of the guys I was playing with during the holidays for Magic, like, had just gotten into it, was playing it and everything, and he was like, we were talking, and he's like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm looking to start, being a DM for Dungeons and Dragons, because Magic really isn't my thing. I just got into it as something to pass the time in between D&D games and stuff." And I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "I watch Stranger Things. I like D&D."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Well, would you be interested in playing and getting into it?" And I'm like, "I've never done it." And he goes, "I've never DM, but I played a lot, and I want new people for me starting out so I can learn, and helping them start out so they can learn." So I talked to one of my friends, and next thing I knew, I was rolling dice and role playing as Merrick Odin's son.
What was your class? Was it fighter?
I did fighter.
Okay.
I did fighter for both the first two campaigns. I'm playing as the halfling rogue right now in the Mines of Fandelver campaign that we're doing now. And I was basically forced to do that because they're like, "You played as a fighter for the other two. Please play something else." So that somebody, because they're like, the rogue's there and does stuff, but I want somebody else to be like the main people, and you to be like a side person to help them since you've done this. So I was like, "That's fine." And I'm sure you and any other Dungeons and Dragon person is familiar with the Mines of Fandelver campaign. Correct? I'm hoping.
I will have to say I'm familiar with it just through listening to like people play on actual plays, but I've never run or played through that game.
Well, I was very excited because the rogue's whole kind of, because in the previous one when I played, my fighter guy was just like, he's there to do what's right. I didn't have like a driving thing aside from just doing what's right.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was playing as the rogue, I actually had like you're there to get revenge on Glassstaff because he's the one that put like a hit out on you and everything. So when we finally captured him, I just kept like saying, I'm going to punch him while he was like tied up, because the DM was rolling to see if he recognized me.
Okay.
And he kept rolling to where he didn't recognize me. So I was responding by basically being like, "Are you kidding me? You tried to have me killed. You don't even know who I am." So I kept rolling to hit him, and I was just, any other check I would have missed. That I just kept on, was able to punch him or kick him or do whatever I did. And they basically had to restrain me at one point. And then he finally, like when we were dragging him away and I was like restrained, he's finally like, "Oh, you're the one I tried to have killed. Sorry for that misunderstanding." And I'm like, "I'm going to kill him." So we do have his glass staff, and it is it's an ongoing joke thing to where if a X-Red brand touches it, they get shocked. And since my character used to be Red Brand, I get shocked, and I can't remember how it turned out this way, but for some reason my character does not remember that he gets shocked if he touches the staff. So every now and then we'll be standing there and I'll say something stupid and they'll be like, "Can I have him grab the staff?" And I have to roll to see if I remember or not that it will shock me. So that's been way out of context D&D references.
So overall, since you started playing, good experiences, I hope.
I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I've only done technically 2.5 campaigns, and I will say I do like, I want to do more stuff that's like by the books and stuff instead of like created by an individual, just because, not that our one created by the guy went bad or anything. It's just sometimes he's like, "Oh, I didn't realize you guys were going to do that. Hold on, let me try to figure out something to do instead now."
Gotcha.
It's having that cut and dry, here's the story already played out, instead of having to do like a filler episode.
Gotcha. Like you want more of a, like, playing with the modules or playing with the established sets, like Fandelver or I'm blanking. Like,
there's actually the new Guilds of Ravnica expansion.
That's right.
Where it takes place in the world of Magic in the plane of Ravnica. So there's that one too.
I was thinking that would have been one of the big draws for you to switch over.
It didn't. It helped because they also have done little modules where they like had it take place in one of the previous expansions to Magic, Ixalan, which has vampires, pirates, and dinosaurs. And I'm not making that up. That is actually stuff that is all in this plane. So they had little test things, and then they finally put out a full book. So I'm very excited to try that out. But yes, it's something really fun. It's kind of just a cool way to sit around and kind of hang out with your friends and, role play and have fun by being like, I'm going to do this. And hopefully the dice are with you that night. Because I've had already many of experiences where it goes the other way.
Oh, I totally understand. It's like you got the cool things in your head, you know how it's going to work out, and then you see that number on the die and you're like, yeah, that's not going to work.
And actually, funny enough, since I am a halfling, rolling a 2 is the worst thing I can possibly do, because at least if I roll a 1, there's that luck thing that they have to where you can re-roll. So I'm like, It's funny because I'll roll a 1 and just be like, oh, phew, I can re-roll. And if I roll a 2, I'm like, no.
Yeah, I love me some halflings. They're my favorite D&D race.
I've only played human and halfling, so I mean, I'm trying to expand. I want the next character. I want to go back to being a warrior, but I want to focus on tanking, because previously I was really good with a bow and arrow, so I kind of was support role, but I would rather tank, and I've already got my name picked out. And it's a joke from since Zeng This is part of the Dark Myths podcasting collective. I asked a lot of them, since a lot of them DM, what would be a good D&D name for a character, and we landed on Darkon Mythos.
That is a good name. I like it.
So I'm very excited to debut that. Right now, my halfling's character was originally named Terry, but then I jokingly said, oh, well, since we've gotten rid of the red brand, my character actually reveals his true name to be Keith Nimblefingers, which is something I actually rolled for in the book. So yes.
That is fun stuff right there.
But, also Stranger Things also helped me kind of push towards that as well. So.
I think Stranger Things was a good catalyst for a lot of people when they saw like that, and that was the initial thing that even got me into Stranger Things, because a friend of mine had recommended the show and said, yeah, it's a little bit on the not like creepy side, but I don't really watch suspense, like suspenseful things or horror leaning stuff. And I saw Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, yep, I'm good. Let's roll. I am golden.
I got this.
Besides D&D, what else in 2018 was something that you got into, or that you finally something had come out, or things that you were interested in?
Well, I'm going to try to mix it up and not stay. I'm going to try to intersperse different stuff, if that's
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm not like, okay, I'm going to talk about D&D, now Magic, now this board game, now something that I got into, and I was not expecting this. I did not expect this whatsoever, but come September 14th, I was sitting there and I was watching it, The Dragon Prince.
That was such a good show.
I didn't realize it was something I needed till I had it, and it was great because, like I said, I'm really sounding like I'm really into fantasy and stuff like that, which I'm not, but still, it was a great show. I really enjoyed the portrayal of it, everything. I'm very excited that it already has announced that it will get a second season, because the way the first one ends, you're like, wait, what?
Yep. That was a show that I had like on my radar, because it's done by some of the people that did Avatar. Mm-hmm. So I was already like, okay, I love Avatar: The Last Airbender, and the people that worked on the show can pretty much do no wrong for me at this point. So I'll try whatever they throw out there. And we watched it as a family, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's the voice of Sokka. Like, that's Sokka, except it's not Sokka. But that show was just really well done. Like, and I think one of the things I really liked was like the portrayal of the elves that you get to see on screen, and how like they have their magic, and then the humans and the war, like all of that stuff. I really liked it.
I liked how it already had sort of a built-in mythos that you were kind of clued into.
Mm-hmm.
but they haven't fully explained a lot of it, but they've explained it enough to where you get the gist of it. So I really enjoyed that you kind of hit the ground running with the show. And yes, the Avatar link was something that drew me and both me and Ellie into a lot. And we really both enjoyed this show, and we're just sad that it only was 9 episodes. And we wish that there was more available now, but of course, give it time.
Give it time. That's right. That's the one thing that I've been finding with some of the shows that I got into this year, which I think one of them might have even come out the year before, in 2017, was Castlevania. I finally sat down and watched that, and the first season was so short, and I'm like, that's it? What are you talking about? But luckily like the second season was already out, and I got to watch that. And it was just, it expanded so much more that it kind of like scratched the itch. And now I'm wondering with that show, what they're going to go do with that. Same as Dragon Prince. It's like, I'm down with the mythos. They did give you enough of that to where you did feel like, okay, I kind of see what's going on. I kind of understand. And I'm really looking forward to both of those coming back.
Mm-hmm. I'm very excited. Castlevania was another one that, like I said, like you said, it came out the year before, but I really got into that. I really enjoyed the new season of it. That one was one, it kind of took a Game of Thrones-esque turn, and just it got very political, and there was a lot of, backstabbing and stuff like that, and controversy with the character. Like, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh, they're just going to go fight. And it's like, no, there's actually a very interesting thing to where they're talking about how they want to destroy humanity, like the vampires are, but it's like they're as petty as humans are, if not worse.
Oh, absolutely.
So I really enjoyed that development and everything with those characters. And also the fact that Dracula was kind of like, I think it was pointed out that this is like the longest suicide note or something anyone's ever written, or that's what he's trying to accomplish with what he's doing, is just he's just done with the world and just wants to destroy everything. So I was like, this is really good. And it also got me to pick up the Symphony of the Night remake, which I'm still not even close to being started with, but I was very excited to pick that up as well for the PlayStation to one day maybe play.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing right there, is that we have the PlayStation 4, and I picked up some of the games for the kids that were on sale. Like they got like Lego Jurassic World and Lego Harry Potter, because they're all like $5, $6. And then I'm looking at a game, and my wife comes over to me. She says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, there's this game that's on sale. It's normally like $60, but it's $30." And she said, "Why do you need it? You don't play anything." and she's right. I got the Spider-Man game, and I was playing that and working my way through it, and haven't been back to it in about 2 or 3 weeks. And I have the whole Uncharted series, and I have Tomb Raider, and I have, like, they're all in the shrink wrap, untouched. I really want to get Smash Brothers. Mint condition. I want to get Smash Brothers for the Switch, but at the same time, like our dock for that got hit by lightning, so it doesn't output onto HDMI, and those docks cost like $70 for a new dock. It's like, okay, well, I'll be waiting on that, and just maybe playing occasional games on the computer for a little bit.
What was the game you were looking at?
Honestly, it was EA Sports NHL 19, because I love me some hockey games, going all the way back to like Nintendo Ice Hockey and Blades of Steel and all that. And it's the one thing I'd love to play that game, but they've made it to where the controls are just, you got to know
They're
all the
so
buttons.
Complicated now.
Like, and it's the one thing that I always talk about with people. Like somebody said, "Oh, you want to play Overwatch?" Which I did install Overwatch last month, and haven't really tried it out yet. And I've got the PS Plus, so I can go online and play. But I am old school, either with like Nintendo or Super Nintendo. Give me like 4 buttons and I'm good. Anything more is too much. Or like on the PC for like first person shooters, I'm up, down, left, right, space bar. That's it. I can't do like strafing or looking around corners or walking one way and shooting a different way. I cannot handle that.
In all my years of gaming, I have a PC. I do have a ton of Steam games on there because Steam sales are the worst thing in the world because you will immediately buy a ton of stuff. But I love having a controller because at least with a controller, if you're hitting the wrong button, it will still do something. I remember it was some game I was playing. I kept hitting a button. I was like, why isn't it doing anything? I didn't realize I had adjusted my hand slightly and was just hitting a button, a random keyboard button
Right.
that wasn't linked to anything. And I'm like, this is why I like a controller, because it's there. But I understand the appeal of a keyboard and mouse. I understand it. It's not for me. Now, if you could block off my hand where I couldn't hit buttons that didn't matter, I probably would like it more. But I completely understand. And as for the sports games, I've wanted to buy a sports game this year, but I decided not to.
What sports game was that?
I was trying to decide because I was like, I haven't gotten Madden in a while. NHL is one I like. It was just like, I was like, I just want another sports game. Then I realized I'm not playing games as much as I used to, but I'm getting back there. I'm getting back because it's the dead of winter and going outside is cold.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where the last like football game I got was like Madden 16. And like again with like the football games, the only thing I like to do is just throw the ball and let the computer handle the rest. Like I cannot do the whole complicated catching. You'll never find me at a Madden tournament. I don't do that. Or like I'll play defense and I'll just pick somebody and try to like go sack the quarterback each time. That's my whole appeal is that was it. And it's the same way with hockey, but like it's gotten so complicated with the stick handling and just
how you have to use the other stick to where like I remember I bought one of a few years back and it was extremely complicated, but they had like a simplified like old school mode where you only use like 3 buttons, but it was like I felt like it was a detriment to use that, so you couldn't do all the cool moves and stuff. It was just like shoot, pass, switch player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. Going off sports games to back to Spider-Man. That's the thing I like about Spider-Man is I set it to where it skips like the button smashing at certain times and made the puzzles easier and stuff like that. Like the only thing I want to do in Spider-Man is really swing around the city and occasionally do stuff.
God, that is so rewarding. I could just do that for hours.
Yeah, the one thing I started doing with Spider-Man was I was like, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect the backpacks. I'm going to just go around and collect the backpacks. And if I swing by one of those transmitter things, I'll do that. But other than that, I don't care at this point.
That's what I did beginning too. I swung around, got all the backpacks, got all the regular photo ops because there's secret photo ops too. Apparently later in the game you discover. And I went and did all that. But the ultimate question is, what is your favorite spider suit to wear in the game?
I've only got 2 or 3 unlocked right now. So honestly, it's the one that they upgrade you to at the start.
Okay, like so it's the one with the big white spider.
Yeah, it's the one with the big white spider. I do have, I think, one other suit. And I can't remember which one it is. It's not one that stands out to me. I really do want to pick up some of those other suits though that I've seen in other playthroughs because I'm like those are my suits. Like this suit is cool and all, but I wanna go back to one of the other suits.
Because the correct answer is the Scarlet Spider suit.
Is that the one?
It's the one that's red. White eye, big white eyes. They're not the ones that collapse or do anything. And then you have the jean jacket.
Okay, I'm not sure if I have
with the spider on the back. You get it earlier.
Okay,
in the game.
I'll have to check. It's been since before Christmas since I've been able to sit down and play. I might try and play some today.
I actually have platinumed that game. I'm trying to do all the downloadable content and gonna do a second playthrough soon as well. I'm just waiting to do all the downloadable content so I can have all the, because I found out, this is a fun fact for people who haven't played the Spider-Man game yet, if you do all the downloadable content then do the new game plus, you have all of the all of the suits and stuff then, so you don't have to redo
Oh, that's
the stuff
good.
to get it. I mean, you can still do the extra content, but I was like, oh man, I want to be able to just to be like any costume, any outfit I want, I get it. So
Exactly.
I'm playing through, and because you also I'm playing through on the hardest difficulty when I'm doing the plus. Well, I'm going to do the plus mode. So like I said, I want to get everything, so I am good to go on that. And great game, but would I say this, and I'm sorry for the comments you're going to get for this, close but not game of the year in my opinion.
What's game of the year for you?
Well, years ago, when I worked for a certain gaming retail place, I walked in for a midnight lunch. I was told I had to wear a shirt, and mind you, I was in better shape then. I was told I had to wear a shirt, but I had painted on my face, and this story's going places, people. I had painted on my face a red thing across my one eye, and I had made of cardboard and aluminum foil Blades of Chaos, because I came in for the midnight launch of God of War 3 dressed as Kratos. I had the skirt thing, I had the sandals, I was ready to go because I was a huge fan of God of War back then. And I will tell you this right now, the return of God of War blew me away. I played that game. I would replay it at the drop of a hat. I love the God of War series, and this aging up this father Kratos, or dad, or as it's called, Dad of War, as some people make the joke. I loved going back to this game. I love the Norse mythology. I love that there's like a completely new game series, and it's cool because since he's a father, and since I become a father, it kind of takes on this whole new appeal of he used to be this lunatic psycho, and it's like now he's trying to be a better person for his son, and to have his son have a better world than he had. So like I said, just playing that game, and I love Norse mythology, but getting into that again was awesome. So that was a nice return to fandom for me.
Okay.
If you would say.
That's another, I think I've lamented on the podcast a few times. I can't do like the action-y adventure, God of War, Zelda, Kingdom Hearts type games. Again, a lot of buttons to press and remember. I do like watching it, and that's one of the games where I've watched it a few times on YouTube. Not only like the new one, but when the originals were coming out. And it's very pretty.
It is beautiful. I started a playthrough plus on that, but we are planning on getting the 4K version of the PlayStation soon.
Okay.
So I'm kind of holding off on doing a lot of my playthroughs till we get that, because I want to see it in all of its 4K beauty, since we have a 4K TV and everything. I'm waiting. I'm putting all of it on hold. But maybe, sir, when we get it, I will actually try to do some Twitch streaming of the playthrough. So maybe you can vicariously live through my playthrough.
Well, that is what I do for a lot of games, is I vicariously live through other people playing, because most of the time it is either I am, too busy, or as you well aware know, with having multiple kids, is that some of the games are totally not kid friendly, kid appropriate.
No.
And in fact, there was another game that came out last year that I really wanted, because I'd never played the first one. I was like, oh, I'd love to play Red Dead Redemption 2. And I said, okay, I don't need to have played the first one. A few people said you'll understand links on because 2 is the prequel to 1, but you'll understand links going in. But I watch people's playthroughs, and it has some language that the kids are not good for. So
I will say this: I have not touched Red Dead Redemption. Me and Ellie own it. Our eldest daughter is playing it. Ellie is also playing it. I just haven't messed with it yet. And it's nothing against the game or anything. It's just, I feel like that is a game that has so much to it that if I start playing that, I will just be playing that. Just that will be what I will play for the foreseeable future. So that's why I'm like trying to hold off. Plus, the added benefit of letting them play through it first is if I have any questions or need help,
Mm-hmm.
I can go to them instead of being like, oh, let me YouTube this or try to find it online.
Exactly.
So that's why I patiently wait until they've both beaten it. Plus, the game's not going anywhere. But yes, I will agree that that is not an appropriate one for the younger variety of children from the moments I've seen walking through. And I also have to sometimes go and babysit the tinier ones in the other room when Ellie's like, I'm in the middle of something. Can you go play with them so they don't come in here while I'm shooting up these places with these kisses to these people? Yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm not killing them. So yes, I'm very excited about playing that game eventually. But like I said, I'm being patient on it.
That's right. I find, as I get older, especially with the kids are getting to a point now where they are playing Spider-Man. They are playing like Need for Speed or the Lego games, and they're getting to where we're introducing them. And what we love to do is introduce them to like 80s movies.
Oh,
We watched Kindergarten Cop 2 days ago, on Christmas Eve. We were like, oh, you guys haven't seen Kindergarten Cop, let's watch that. And of course, our remembering of it is totally different than how the movie is. And we've been realizing that with the 80s movies that there's a lot more like cursing than we remember. And we're like, oh. And they're at least experiencing that with us rather than, which we are pretty sure that they're already hearing it at school in 4th and 5th grade, but we're going through those 80s movies and having them watch it, so that way they're kind of like getting to see some of the stuff that we love. One of the kids really loved Back to the Future. We watched all 3 of them.
nice.
And they're getting into that. They're getting into we watch Gremlins, we watch Ghostbusters. So we're trying to slowly expose them to that. But it's definitely one of the things where we're like, oh wow, like the 80s really was just
Full of great movies.
Full of great movies, and PG movies had a lot more cursing than they do nowadays.
Because PG-13 did not exist back then. So,
really?
If I remember correctly, I knew I was going to say something during this that I was going to regret saying immediately and be like, darn it. Oh, let's see here. Because now I'm like, when was that created? Because I know it was.
Was it not Newt Gingrich? Was it Bob Dole's wife? That I know that she went. Someone did the video games where they had to get ratings on video games at that point, like in the 90s.
All right, I got it. And this is, let's see here. I'm double fact checking this to make sure. 1984.
Okay.
Is when the PG-13 rating was introduced.
Okay. Yeah. I guess it's
the first film to be released with the rating was the 1984 film Red Dawn.
Okay.
Which was remade recently.
Yes, it was. I haven't seen that though.
I haven't seen it either. But
what can I say?
Fun fact, and actually vaguely relevant to a conversation on what I'm excited for next year, is the outrage over the PG rating of Temple of Doom led to PG-13 being created. Oh, wow. Which, on the note of Temple of Doom, of course, Zeng This will be undergoing its next movie, Quadigy. Yeah, Quadigy, which is, of course, Indiana Jones.
Yay!
Which somebody will be on. Hint, hint.
Hint, hint.
Hint, hint. But yeah, I was like, I feel like that was created in the 80s, and that's why a lot of movies have like this weird ambiguousness to them, because it was either like R rating or PG rating. There was no in between, and lo and behold, apparently PG-13 was like the golden thing where you could get away with a lot of stuff, and you still can get away with some fun stuff in PG-13 movies.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Now, you got any? I know you wanted to talk about magic as something that you're into.
Oh, no. See, you got me into movies now. So I got a movie.
Let's hit the movies, because there's a ton of movies that came out last year.
Yes. I think it goes without saying the Marvel movies, of course. Just throwing it out there. I could go on, but after having some time to sit with it and watch it over again, I have to wait for, now I can say this, Avengers Endgame to have my complete review of Infinity War, I think. Because since they keep claiming it's two different, it's a standard. I'm like, no, it's those movies, in my opinion, they're two parts of a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only review it kind of on like a what I've seen so far scale.
Right. And I feel the same way with something that came out or that's coming out this year, which is Star Wars Episode 9. I feel like until that movie is out, can the entire trilogy, the sequel trilogy, can really be judged at that point.
Yes.
Because I remember when Force Awakens came out, I was like, I had really mixed feelings. Like, I liked some of it, I didn't like some of it. But at the end of the day, I don't know where they're going with these characters. I don't know what they're doing with the story. And I cannot judge it as a whole like I can with the original trilogy or the prequels until the third one's done.
I definitely agree with you with that. Also, I do the Knights of Vader podcast as well. I'm a host on that. And talking about Star Wars every week, trust me, I get my fill of it. I love Star Wars to death. But yes, I am very excited to get the conclusion to this trilogy and kind of, I guess, give a determining factor on it, because Last Jedi, of course, has had a lot of some people, depending on who you ask, it could be the greatest Star Wars thing ever made, or it's destroying Star Wars, which my opinion is I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
The slow speed chase through space, though, is kind of the only thing, like, now looking back, I'm like, huh. But everything else is, I'm like, I don't mind the Luke stuff. The Lightspeed bullet is one of the coolest things in cinema, in my opinion. And yeah, it's setting up for something. That's my thing, is it got its point across and it's setting up for something. So we just got to see what that is.
Now,
and porgs.
Being the host or co-host of the Knights of Vader podcast and such a Star Wars aficionado, I have to ask, because it was brought up recently, and it actually coincided to when I watched Solo, which was probably a month ago, give or take. I actually got to sit down and watch Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Would Solo have succeeded if it had come out in December, like the Star Wars movies had been coming out in?
Oh, goody. This can of worms. Okay, first thing first, I didn't mind the Solo movie.
I really enjoyed the Solo movie.
Ellie, it's grown on Ellie a lot more than it has me. I don't not like it. It's just kind of like it's good, but I feel it's like a perfect painting that you have to view from a very it is to bring up. You brought up the 80s, so I'm going to bring up something from the early 90s. It's like one of those magic image things, where if you look at it just right, it shows a magical picture that you're like, wow, that's great. But if you look at it from either side, it's like, oh, it's kind of a jumbled mess. Like I said, Star Wars, Solo is still good. It's just, there's one thing that bothers me. Everything significant that happened to Solo happened in like a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It bothers me. So I'm like, but I understand that's storytelling, that's movie making too. So I got to kind of take that. But going back to, would Solo have been more successful? This movie was not advertised correctly, in my opinion. There was too much leaked about what was going on set. Also, no offense, I went into this movie not wanting to like it because I didn't care about Solo. I'm like, I don't want a backstory on a character I don't really need a backstory on. Leaving it, I was like, that was pretty good. I was way more impressed than I thought it was going to be. But that's the thing. I think those combinations and the backlash of Last Jedi, I think all contributed to where this movie should have waited. It should have taken more time. They should have had a better ad campaign together and should have had something to where they actually like push people to go to the movies.
I was in the same boat as far as like, I like the characters from the original trilogy, but I'm not looking for like a Han Solo movie. I'm looking for like, give me something. And, we talked about Rogue One a couple of times, and it's like, give me something where you have like maybe smaller characters and you bring them to the
Oh,
forefront.
Rogue One is turning into like one of my favorite things that has come out of the Star Wars universe. Slowly but surely, it's getting there.
The one thing that I want out of what the Han Solo movie brought us is give me a Lando movie with Donald Glover. That is all I want. Like, honestly, give me that. Give me that, and give me like if we're gonna keep like some canon stuff from like the Legacy series, give me like a Rogue Squadron TV show with X-wing pilots doing like awesome dogfighting and Black Ops stuff. Like, give me that. But Lando Calrissian, Donald Glover was amazing.
I admit that was a treat. But the other thing, and this is the one thing that really I left the theater with a huge smile on my face, because I finally got that recognition of being a Star Wars fan, knowing that, you know, there's TV shows, there's comics, there's all this other stuff that the movies don't ever touch on. But then having that moment where Darth Maul came on screen, and I was one of the people in the theater going, huh, that's the direction they're going with it. Instead of everyone around me going, wait, isn't he dead? Wait, when is this taking place? Is this before episode 1? I was like, nope, I'm in the know. He's alive because of Rebels, Clone Wars, and Rebels showing that he's alive. So that was very cool for me to know that the Star Wars universe actually acknowledges that there is other content out there that's being created.
Exactly.
So I was very excited for that, but like I said, with the box office returns and stuff like that, I don't know if they're going to risk it again, but who knows? I want them to. I like that step of acknowledging, hey, you've been dedicated to this show, or you've been dedicated to this comic, or this or that. Here's a reward for you. You'll be in the know. Everyone else is going to have to go home and watch. And to be honest, I made the joke that it should have had a little thing pop in the corner. Like, if you're a comic book fan, you'll remember from, I know it was a big thing in the 90s. It still is around every now and then. Pop a little thing in the corner saying, for more information, please watch episodes blah, 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 through of Clone Wars and Rebels on why he's alive. See, that's the thing. It's rewarding people who already are in the know or who already follow the canon. People who aren't can have one of two choices: go figure out what's going on by looking it up on, you know, stuff or finding videos, or just be clueless. So I'm excited about that Star Wars took that leap, and I hope they keep leaping with it, with these extended universe stuff. But yes, a Lando movie would be fun.
All right, so and I know you said all the Marvel movies, obviously, and we just talked Star Wars. Was there anything else 2018 gave you?
I don't want to keep harping on certain movies and certain things, so I'm gonna say one, and then I'm gonna get to the other one that's on my mind right now.
Okay.
Upgrade. It was this was also the year of Movie Pass for me, both getting it, hating it, and then getting rid of it. So so I did go to the movies a lot, but the Movie Pass thing is a whole different story. I never could see anything anymore. They wouldn't let me, but I watched Upgrade. Very R-rated movie, very action fighting movie. It was a great movie to go see. It was like a good, like, I went in the afternoon. It was a great, like, choreography, great fighting, great story of this guy that basically gets implants in him to help him sort of get revenge, but there's a twist to it. And it was a great movie. It had like a very I almost want to say The Room, but I mean to say The Raid sort of aspect to like fighting and stuff. I don't know why The Room kept popping. I'm like, no, it's not Tommy Wiseau. But no, it had great choreography and great fighting and great action stuff in it. So I really liked that as like a movie I wasn't expecting. Like, I just kind of went to the theater one day when I had Movie Pass. I'm like, I'm gonna go see a movie today. Don't know what. I went to go see that, and I walked out of there going, wow. And now back to comic book discussion. Venom impressed me more than I thought it was going to.
I've heard. Okay, so I have a lot of friends who are into comic book movies. One of them said that it was very I hate to use the words like comedy, but it is definitely. She said that it was definitely not what she expected, but it was that she was happy that it wasn't as she was expecting going into the theater. That it was not, like, I guess it went in a different direction than what she was thinking it was going to do.
Now, we did a predictions episode with Emran Javed and Toby from the Secret Transmit. Emran Javed, of course, from Jock and Nerd, and then Toby from Secret Transmission. We did like a predictions episode of what we were thinking. And I think if I remember correctly, between the three of us, we told you everything that happened in the movie, basically point by point by point, because Sony does a terrible job marketing and showed everything. But I went to that movie and I left and I was like, that was fun. Because it isn't weighed down by 20 other movies. It was just a fun movie with a character that everyone was like, oh, they're not going to do his origin. And it's like, who cares? It was good. It was Tom Hardy apparently is crazy on camera. It was great. I alluded a lot to like the mid 2000s era of comic book movies. Like if I watched that and Ghost Rider, I would have probably been like, these movies were made at around the same time because they're both just so awful. They're good. So I really enjoyed it. Like I left there and I was like, I want to see more. And it was kind of the best part of it was the conversation between Venom and Eddie. Like them talking back and forth was really cool to see. Like I could literally just watch a movie of just them talking to each other and walking around. So that was something I was not expecting. I was expecting it to be awful. On that note, I still haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse, so I cannot include that. So that's something I'm looking forward to in 2019 to watch on home video.
Yes, I'm probably going to take the kids sometime either this week or on the weekend to go see it. We had intended to go see it last week, but between our trip and then all the craziness that goes along with coming back from a vacation where you need a vacation from it.
Yes, a vacation from your vacation.
Mixed with more family and New Year's, it just did not work. And again, we don't go out New Year's Eve at all. We stay off the roads as much as possible. And then yesterday we stayed home and did nothing except for watch mindless TV for 10 or 11 hours.
That's the best kind of days.
It is. So yeah, we want to see Into the Spider-Verse so badly. And I want to see it because at the comic reading time, I remember when that kind of like setup was going on, and I had actually read a number of those comics with some of those characters that they introduced. So I was like, yep, heck yeah, like give me those characters.
I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see it. But like I said, it's something I'm still trying to get to the theater, but I'm like, I think for like a review or discussion of it on my show, it would more be something that would be around the home video release. So yeah, sad. All
right, you want to talk about Magic before we jump into this year?
I just wanted to give a quick shout out because I don't want to sit here and talk about every Netflix thing that came out because Netflix did knock it out of the park. Disenchantment was a great thing. As a huge fan of The Simpsons and Futurama, I really enjoyed once again going back to Sword and Shield stuff. I really am excited to get Matt Groening and the creative teams behind like Futurama and The Simpsons on a new project, and I really enjoyed like the sort of deconstruction of the fantasy genre that they are doing. And I'm excited for the new season, but I just wanted to mention that one real quick. Because
I have not seen that. This has been the year where I started getting into a lot more like Netflix shows between BoJack Horseman, and Big Mouth, and a few others where it's like some of these shows
those had new seasons. I said I wasn't going to talk about Netflix. I'm not sponsored by them yet. Soon.
Yeah, it's definitely like Netflix is. There's so many different shows out there that I'm just finding new things all the time and just loving what they have.
Yes. But I will grant your wish and mention Magic now. Yes. Magic the Gathering by sworn enemy for my wallet. Magic has been something I have been playing off and on since the early 2000s, or actually around 99 to 2000. I do have some stuff that dates back to then, but I think recently I've been more into it as trying to play it at a competitive level.
Okay.
So my going from 28, I constructed a what's called a tier 1 deck. Like that's like the the ones that normally do really good in tournaments and stuff like that. So I have that in 2018. I've gotten used to playing it, so I think 2019 will be the year I'm going to try to go to some tournaments and maybe see my name somewhere on the top whatever things for that. So getting back into it and trying to get, like, not serious, but trying to get more into it is something I've been tried to do in 18 and really want to go a little bit further with it in 19.
And with that, we can segue into what are you?
There's your segue, sir. You're welcome.
The segue. Thank you for that setup. As we now go into, we're already in 2019. This episode will come out next week, which is the 7th. So we'll be keeping that Monday release schedule. But there's a ton of stuff coming out in 2019: movies, TV shows, of course, comics, video games, and so much more. Is there anything on the top of your head that you're like, and of course, we've already mentioned Avengers Endgame.
Yes.
Anything else that's on your move, at least for your movie watching that you got
Avengers Endgame is definitely very high on that list. But I will say I'm actually a little bit more excited for Captain Marvel, to be honest, because I don't know where they're going to go with it. I'm like, I really want this character to do well because I don't want to have to get Ellie out of prison for if she goes ballistic in a movie theater when they don't do her favorite character correctly.
Oh gosh. Now I'm trying to figure out like who her favorite character could be. Is it Kamala Khan or
no? It's Carol Danvers.
Okay. I didn't want to go with the obvious. I'm thinking of like little secondary characters.
It's funny because whenever we talk about Captain Marvel as in the Carol Danvers version, for this is a behind the scenes thing, I do have to edit out her saying Miss Marvel and recut it or get her to re-say certain lines on the podcast for when we talk about it, because she's so used to just saying Miss Marvel referring to Carol Danvers, because that's her Carol Danvers version is her favorite.
Okay.
So I'm excited for that. I want to see what they do. DC, apparently Aquaman was good, so I'm hoping they can get some ground. I want DC to do good. I don't like always going to the theater for a Marvel movie and knowing I'm going to walk out with a smile on my face. In a DC movie, I just go, I'm going to wait for it to come out on home video so I can pause it, walk away, and get a stiff drink in the middle of it to try to get through it. But minus Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was good. And Teen Titans Go to the movies, I felt was good too, but that's not part of the continuity. I want Shazam to do good. I'm like, this looks like it could be fun or it could be a pile of garbage. I don't know which yet. So, oh man. But Hellboy, I don't know how to feel about the Hellboy movie yet. So I'm excited for that. I like the older ones. I love Ron Perlman. This one, I'm like, is it supposed to be funny? Is it supposed to be like a dark comedy? Is it supposed to be serious? I'm like, I can't get the like where this is supposed to fall. And I'm like, maybe that's the point. Another thing, Men in Black coming back. I think that looks like a great comedy movie. Liam Neeson, Chris Hemsworth. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited to go to the movies for stuff like that. Like, just a huge nerd. So I'm getting a chance to go be nerdy. I didn't know if there's any other, because that's the thing. I'm trying to think of upcoming movies, and I'm honestly drawing a blank besides those.
Here, I'll read some off to you. You tell me if you're interested in them.
Okay, yay or nay time. Good.
Yay or nay time. Toy Story 4.
Indifferent.
Aladdin.
I want to see that. Just because of how angry everyone's gotten out of just an image of Will Smith as the genie, which I think is brilliant.
Dumbo.
And indifferent.
Lion King.
Excited to see Shakespeare done by animals again.
Possibly one of the 2 last X-Men movies that come out of Fox, The Dark Phoenix.
If it comes out, sure. And if New Mutants comes out, sure.
Okay, because I was going to have that one as the next one.
That movie, I wish there was a way to bet on whether it would come out or not, because I feel like the odds are not in its favor. Especially since I think Kevin Feige said recently, we could have the X-Men or other stuff part of Marvel, part of the MCU in less than 6 months. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, and
I mean,
I did see that report.
He's not
yeah.
saying that they're doing that. He's just saying that's how long it could take. That if they really wanted to.
Right,
So,
exactly.
oof.
We've already covered Star Wars Episode 9, so
Mhm.
there's no need for that.
Very excited about that.
One that I'm actually shocked to see on this list, Frozen 2.
I haven't. Okay, I'm going to say this because I have to. I'm excited about it because I know my kids will be excited about it.
Right. Glass.
Never got into that. You know what? Every year I think there's going to be some movie that I'm going to get berated for not watching. And I'm trying to decide if it's Stargate because that already has been pointed out because previously it was Mad Max Fury Road.
Right.
It might be Stargate. It might be me saying that I've not seen Unbreakable or Split. So, as a huge fan of superhero movies, you'd think that would be something I'd be excited about.
Spider-Man: Far From Home.
I gotta see how Endgame happens. Even though I'm excited for Spider-Man, but like I said, I really want to see Into the Spider-Verse because I love Tom Holland, but I'm like I think the animated one might be the better Spider-Man story, and this might just be part of the giant monster that is the MCU.
And speaking of monsters, how about Godzilla, King of the Monsters?
I have a prediction that movie, this is my early prediction, that it's going to be the Empire Strikes Back of the Godzilla movies. I think King of the Monsters is referring to King Ghidorah and not to Godzilla.
Okay.
And that this is he gets defeated, and then the next movie is him getting the chance, the return of Godzilla.
Awesome.
That's my early guess. I'm probably going to be 100% wrong on that.
What about Pokemon Detective Pikachu?
Is it supposed to be a kids movie or not?
I don't know.
Because I'm sorry, Ryan Reynolds just him just voicing over stuff instantly makes me think Deadpool. So, but no, I'm excited for that. Real life Pokemon look very creepy though. Just gonna say.
Okay, DC coming back with another movie, Joker.
Remember I said that Solo was something I didn't want? This is also something I'm like, I don't see myself wanting it.
Okay, how about something else that you might not want? Sonic the Hedgehog.
I was taking a drink real quick and I nearly choked. All right. I'm going to say this now. I love Sonic. Sonic 2 is one of my favorite games. I've never beaten it, but I love that game. It just brings back childhood memories. The sheer... I'm sorry. Just the silhouette terrifies me. I don't want to see the rest of that hedgehog. There's no way things can be put together and make that thing not look like a nightmare-fueled creature.
Okay,
and I'm not against Jim Carrey. I just don't see him as Dr. Robotnik.
I got one more. Last one for the movies. Zombieland 2.
It might be fun. I actually like the first one a lot. And I'm not a super big zombie fan. I'm kind of I was about to say I'm just a fan of the comedy ones. So Zombieland and Shaun of the Dead. That ends my list.
That ends your list. I know as far as TV shows go, I'm most looking forward to Game of Thrones, the final season.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. We think.
Maybe, quote unquote. TV shows. So for me in 2019, I'm looking forward to the new season of My Hero Academia.
I have not watched that, and I have so many people telling me how great it is.
Well, tune into last week's episode of Zeng This to find out what me and Ellie think. I have to say that because this will be coming out after. Yeah, so last week's episode of Zeng This to find out what we think. So, future people, go listen to a past episode of Zeng This. But no, I'm very excited. I got into that show this year. And I knew that I would be mentioning it for the 2019 stuff. God, only a few days in, I'm already messing that up.
At least we're not having to write the numbers down yet and cross them out.
I should be writing it down now, just every time I say it, to try to get some practice, but it's pointless. No, I really like that show. If you're a comic book fan or a superhero fan, it does a really good job of setting up a very cool universe and with very likable characters. So I would recommend trying it.
Okay.
And like I said, there's a new season where they've got new top heroes and stuff. Like it's one of those things to where like, oh, you think you've seen all the like best heroes? Nope, there's a few more that were on vacation or not here during that time or something. So I'm very excited for the new season of that coming out. So yeah, I'm definitely there for that. For as for other TV stuff, Disenchantment has its part 2 of season 1 come out next year, right? Yes. The remaining episodes will be released in 2019, so I'm looking forward to Disenchantment having its conclusion to its like first season, and of course, it's already been ordered to have a second season in 2020 and 2021. I'm hoping for a new season of BoJack.
I think BoJack and I know Sabrina are having second, or at least Sabrina's having something come out in April to finish off that first season. Voltron came out last year.
That is something I need to watch. Like yes. I've watched a good chunk of it, and I just need to finish it.
It's excellent. We're actually making our way through the last season now, and something that came out just yesterday, which I forgot that came out, and we could have watched that with the kids and finished that series off. Is Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events wraps up as of yesterday.
I've not. I know Ellie and the kids have watched it a little bit, but I have not, sadly. Even though I like
Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes, thank you. I was about to say I'm about to just tank his name.
Oh, I totally went with Doogie. I was going to say Doogie Howser first, and then went Neil Patrick Harris because I'm smart like that occasionally.
There you go. Let's see here. The 6th season. It has been picked up for an additional season, going back to me talking about BoJack Horseman like 5 minutes ago. So I'm excited because that most recent season kind of left with like I don't know, a lot of people didn't like the last season. I'm like, I loved it.
Oh, I loved it. It was really good.
I thought there was a good character finally. It's every time with BoJack, you're like, I want him to actually end the season on a good note. And it's like it's very rare because most of the time everyone's miserable in that show. But it's just very interesting the way that series series goes. So I'm excited to see what they do with it. This is a movie one, but kind of TV show as well that I forgot to mention, and it comes out real soon. The Dragon Ball Super Broly movie.
Okay, I know Dragon Ball, but I've never watched it, so I'm not familiar with what you got.
If you want to know a thing about me growing up, I did stand outside yelling to see if my hair would turn gold and everything. But I love that series and everything. It's something I grew up on. It's what got me into anime, to be honest, and what kept my love for it going. So them having a new movie with like a fan favorite character actually coming into continuity and everything, that looks awesome. And that's like in January. So I'm like, that's very quick into this and everything. Video games, Kingdom Hearts, of course. Got to mention that. Anthem, I know Ellie's excited about. So by the logic, I'm excited about. Yeah, like I said, I'm excited for a lot of stuff, but it's like I'm not like need to bang down the doors for, because video games, I'm with you, I'm behind on stuff, and I'm content with what I've got right now, with just adding a few things here and there.
Yeah, I will forever be behind on video games since I can't even say 2008, 2004. It's just not something where I can keep up with. And because the games that they're making are more either first person shooter or action adventure-y type games, it's stuff where I'm more getting it through osmosis of watching other people or just reading about it. Like I'd love to play Mass Effect or Dragon Age, but I don't have A, the time, and B, like the capability of like controller issues, basically. So yeah,
another one I want to mention, and this is just downloadable content, is for Monster Hunter. Geralt, the the Witcher from the Witcher series, is going to be a playable character in that game. So I'm very excited about him because I love the Witcher series, and having him come into that game is going to be awesome. So I'm very excited for that crossover thing happening. And that's a downloadable thing they're doing later this. I can say this year. I was about to say next year. I'm like, nope, that's now. That is now.
Yeah. It is now. The future is now.
I know, and you want to know what do you think next year's going to look like there, David?
2020.
Yeah.
Man, let's see here. Well, we won't have. Well, I mean, they on the Star Wars side of things, they've already announced that there's going to be like the Mandalorian TV show, which I don't know if it comes out this year or next year.
I'm excited about that, by the way. Very excited about that.
I'm not sure if they're going to do like beyond like the episode 9, but I thought someone had got contracted for some unnamed Star Wars movies or Star Wars trilogies that aren't supposed to be like numbered.
I think that's the future of Star Wars, to be honest with you, or at least it has to be.
Marvel will continue cranking out their stuff, and it's going to be interesting to see because all we know of right now is Spider-Man, I believe, is the only one that's been announced.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you've got your obvious contenders, Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange 2. But I'm really interested to see where they're going to pull, like who they're going to pull as far as characters go. I just saw something this morning saying that they were going to introduce the Black Knight from like via the quantum realm. And I'm scratching my head at that one.
Interesting. Well, it went a long way, but I guess you have a 2020 vision of next year.
Maybe. I don't know. I just hope it's better than 2018 was, but I guess the one thing that gets me down, like doing Tales from the Fandom and doing the podcast and stuff, is that I think last year was really divisive amongst the fandoms in general, and I really hope that people can come together better, and even if they have disagreeing opinions, not be so crazy.
I feel like you're attacking the Star Wars fans directly with this.
It's not just Star Wars fans. There's definitely been a lot of there's been some people, you know, on the Marvel side of things too, or the DC side of things. And like you said, I really want DC to have wins. I really wish they'd stop announcing like 500 different projects of what they're going to do, and instead focus on, you know, a few and do one good.
Just do one and then go from there.
Exactly. Like get some wins under your belt for the DC EU, essentially, and get that going. Like you had Wonder Woman, and I keep hearing talks about that they're going to reboot with like if the Flash movie ever happens, that they're going to reboot like the continuity as far as like who is playing Batman and all this stuff with that. So I just want them to do good. Yeah. I just want them to do good. I'd rather, because we're living in like such a great time for fandom stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just want good things. I don't want to see things like not succeed and have like that segment of fans be like, oh man, like we're stuck with it. Like, you know, we Marvel fans had Spider-Man movies, but we can't just say, oh, those were all great.
No,
I mean,
it's very easy. You say, oh, was Andrew Garfield in it? Then that was a bad one. Oh, I still defend Spider-Man 3. I stand up for that movie. Not the Eddie Brock parts of it, but other stuff I stand up for.
Like, yeah, see, and with Spider-Man 3, like I liked segments of that movie. I didn't like other segments. You know,
like him dancing. I'll say it. Because I argue this, that he is a nerd. He has no idea what cool is. So what would a nerd person do if they thought they were cool all of a sudden? Dance terribly. That was shot perfectly. I stand by that argument.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, 2019. We're in it.
So to get I guess your fans and you excited, of course, as I said earlier, we got the Indiana Jones for the Zeng This coming.
Yep.
And we have not decided what's next, but we will have the eventual conclusion to our Harry Potter series where we do The Crimes of Grindelwald, since we were unable to get to the theater, and we will just do that when it comes out on home video so we can have multiple viewings of it if needed.
Yes, I've not been able to watch that as well, and I've heard mixed things about it, so I'm kind of happy I'll get to watch it just myself and absorb it without having other people around me saying things.
Yes. So as far as anything else, we're just going to be putting out episodes now every Thursday.
That's right. I did hear that announcement, and I'm really excited.
Episodes.
About having you guys on the Thursdays.
Yes.
But besides, I mean, if you want to pitch who you are, what you do, where you can be found. I mean, you sprinkled it through the episode, but I'm good with like a where can people find us, Ellie? Except Zenger. Where can people find you, Zenger?
You're so used to me saying it to her on our show. You can, of course, find me, Zenger, on my main podcast, Zeng This, and that's spelled Zeng This. We put episodes out every Thursday now. See, that's the thing I'm still getting used to. We put episodes out every Thursday, and it's just tons of different nerdy topics. As I said, we're talking about My Hero Academia last week. This week, I don't know even. Like, we just pick nerdy topics. We also have a movie series we do where we pick a movie like series of some sort. We just finished Harry Potter. We've done Star Wars. We've done Spider-Man. We've done plenty of stuff. So we're just going to continue that on. Indiana Jones is the next one. So definitely check that out. Those come out once a month. Every episode of the regular podcast is out every Thursday. So check that out. Also on Thursdays, don't forget to go find the Knights of Vader podcast where you can hear me and my co-host yelling about Star Wars stuff every week, neither apologizing or saying that Last Jedi was the best or worst thing ever. Until something else comes out that we can all argue about.
Absolutely. There's always something good to argue about. Awesome. Well, Zenger, I appreciate you coming back to the podcast to talk about last year and this year and into the future. And I am excited to see what happens especially on the Zeng This, because like I told you before we recorded, my podcast listening has severely been limited, and there's only 2 podcasts that I'm able to listen to regularly, and Zeng This is one of the 2.
And the other one is listening to Zeng This a second time. That's right. No, I appreciate you letting me be on. It was a true honor. Me and Ellie are both big fans of your fandom and what you've created, sir. So, and we love having you be a part of our show as well. So I know that you'll be making probably several appearances in 2019 on our show. So if you're fans of David, look forward to finding him on our show as well. But thank you very much for having me on, sir.
Thank you for listening to Tales from the Fandom. Subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/talesfromthefandom to see photos, links, leave feedback, and check out upcoming guests. If you'd like to be a guest, email David at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com.